Hello, welcome to Weather and Climate. I'm Professor Luna. I'll be instructor for this semester. This is the lecture portion of the Weather and Climate course. And I'm going to walk through what the course is about using the syllabus, and then I'll talk a little bit about how the course is organized in Canvas. So hopefully you've been able to successfully log into Canvas and find the course. You'll find on the front page a quick rundown of what the basic topics that we'll be covering are for the semester, but I want to draw your attention to the link to the course syllabus. I'm going to walk through that first. So if you click on that link, you'll call up the syllabus, and it's a traditional syllabus. It just kind of gives you the basic information about how to contact me, as well as the description about the course, as well as the goals and objectives. And essentially this course is an introductory course to the science of weather and climate, and so we'll be covering a lot of ground. But I think it's pretty interesting stuff, and hopefully you'll find it interesting too. We'll be looking at all of the different things that make up weather as we understand it from a scientific perspective, and we'll be looking at how different parts of the world have different climates and why they have different climates, and we'll be looking at what causes weather, and weather being the short-term phenomena like storms and hurricanes and tornadoes and things like that. And we'll be ending the semester by talking about climate change, which is probably the biggest environmental issue of our times, but it's also a really big topic for weather and climate, and so that's where we'll end up at toward the end of the semester. So the syllabus lays out what we're going to be doing. In particular, one of the important things it points out is that there is a required textbook for this course. So we'll be using the 12th edition of The Atmosphere by Lukens and Tarbuck. So you want to make sure that you have that book as soon as possible, because you'll have a quiz and homework that'll be due next week, or rather the second week of the semester, that requires you to have the book in order to complete those assignments. So you need to get that as soon as possible. It's available in the bookstore. It can be rented. There are digital versions of it too, and you can find it online as well. It's not the cheapest book in the world, I understand, but it is necessary, and we'll be using it fully throughout the semester. Okay, some basic course policies. It is an online course, which means it's asynchronous. We don't meet as a class in person, and we don't have a particular time of the week that we need to meet, but the course still follows a weekly rhythm, and that's for convenience, but also to keep everyone on task so we don't fall behind and let things pile up. So that means that there are due dates for all of the assignments that we're going to be working on through the semester, and so I'm operating the assumption that you want to keep up and not fall behind, so you'll be meeting those due dates on time. If something really comes up that you can't control, you need to let me know as soon as possible. Communicate with me, let me know what you need and how we can accommodate that. But if I don't hear from you and you just disappear or don't communicate, I have to proceed along, and so late assignments will be penalized up to 5 days after. And after the point, you can't get points for those assignments. So you want to make sure that you communicate with me if something comes up, and try to keep on top of things so that you don't let things pile up and make it hard to meet the deadline. Okay, the course has a few things that we'll be doing throughout the semester. There'll be regular reading quizzes that test you, or not test you, rather kind of prompt you on the readings to make sure that you're going through the chapters and looking at the material that I've put out for you. In addition, there'll be participation discussion, because the only way we're going to interact is going to be online. And so participation on those online discussions is really important, and so that is graded. And that works to your advantage, though, because those are spaces where you're going to help each other out. I'm going to be encouraging you to actually help each other on the quizzes and assignments, not giving the answers, but helping each other to find the answers and working through these things together, so you don't feel alone and you get support, and I'll be in there too. There'll be, for most weeks, there'll be a profile assignment, which I'll talk about more later, that asks you to look in depth at a particular place around the world, which I'll assign to you, using the lessons that we've learned in the chapters to kind of understand that place in terms of both its weather and its climate. At the end of each week, there'll be a final quiz, which basically sums up or asks you to synthesize and understand the concepts that were covered in the reading and in the materials delivered and any kind of skills that we practiced, so you kind of bring it all together. And again, those will be on a weekly basis. There is no final exam for this class. Essentially, your final grade will be a composition of all these different assignments that you'll get throughout the semester, as well as your lab grade. Because it is a lab science course, you're also enrolled in a lab section, and so the final grade will consist 25% of that lab course as well, and 75% of this lecture course. So when the semester is over, your lab instructor will send me the grade, and then I will calculate the full grade at the end. So you do need to pass the lab course as well, which includes regular attendance. As you might know, the policy for the lab courses is that you can only miss so many labs before you fail that lab. So be aware of that. Talk to your lab instructor and stay on top of that. Okay. So what are we doing in this class? Well, as I said, we'll be doing reading quizzes, and the syllabus kind of describes each of these types of assignments and quizzes that you'll be doing. The discussion, though, is particularly lengthy, and I think you'll want to come back to the syllabus regularly to understand what's expected. But essentially, again, I'm just looking to create an opportunity for people to interact so that we can feel like we're part of a group working through these things together, and that people don't feel overwhelmed by the work, because it shouldn't be. And I don't want to be your only go-to person. I want you to talk to others in the course and feel like you're in a class together. So this discussion participation description walks through what good discussion looks like. And as I said, I'll be encouraging you to cooperate with one another to help on the quizzes and assignments, short of giving the answers. So again, you want to help each other find the answers, but not give them away. You don't want to take away the opportunity for people to learn in this course. So you'll be doing profile assignments, again, which I described, looking at a particular place. I've assigned those places to you already. Those will show up in Canvas. And finally, these final quizzes that'll happen on a weekly basis that ask you to synthesize all the things that we've gone through. Okay, so in the syllabus is a course schedule, and this lays out essentially the due dates for different assignments and readings. So the way that you look at this schedule, the first column shows you the number of week. So we'll be starting out week 1, January 20th. And so that we're just doing the course orientation this week, but starting next week, you'll see in the left-hand column for Monday the 26th, it says Read Chapter 1, Introduction to the Atmosphere, which is in your textbook. That means that you should read it by that date at the latest. And you'll see next door to it in the next column over that due by midnight on the 26th is your first reading quiz, which will be on that chapter's contents. And so you want to have read that before midnight on the 26th. In fact, I would suggest that you do that sooner rather than later, so that if you have questions about that, you can post them, and I'll talk about how you do that in a second. Also, as we start off this semester, I wanted to provide an opportunity for us to do introduction. So there's a discussion that I've asked you to talk about your own experiences, introduce yourself, and talk about an experience you've had with weird or extreme weather. Just give us a little something to start talking about. Okay, so each week you'll see that it follows a weekly rhythm. Generally, you'll find that the readings and the reading quizzes are due by midnight on Mondays. So you want to be caught up with reading by the end of Monday, and then by the Sunday, the following, or at the end of the week, I guess you could call it, the final quiz for that week, the one that incorporates that same chapter, Chapter 1, for example. In this case, the final quiz for that is on February 1st. It's due by midnight on that day, on Sunday night. Also due that night is your weather and climate profile, which parallels the chapter, so you're basically doing something that's relevant to the chapter for your assigned place, and I'll give you more details on that. And then lastly, the discussion posts. So every week there will be discussion participation opportunities that are relevant to the chapter and material that we're doing that week. And so everyone is expected to participate at least once within those discussions, and I'll be grading those discussions to make sure that you've participated in a substantive way. And again, the syllabus talks about that more in length, more in depth, but essentially I'm asking that you post questions where you're having trouble understanding something, that you offer to answer questions when people post them, and not to give them the answer again, but basically to offer help in finding the answer. And also to post comments or observations about the reading, about the delivered material, concepts that you're not clear on, or in case you have a better way of explaining something, please offer that, and that counts too. So again, I'm just encouraging you to interact in the discussion spaces so that we can help each other out and we can get through the semester in a more interesting way and without making it so difficult on any given individual. Okay, so the schedule is laid out there in the syllabus, and I suggest you refer back to that as a way of understanding what's going to happen in the class, and keep that somewhere so that you can refer to it quickly. Now, this is paralleled in Canvas, so next I'm going to talk about how Canvas is organized so that you understand how to interact and what's expected of you.